G'day, welcome to New Game Plus, Cringe here, and we're recording at home because we do not have a TV studio. The TV studio we would usually be using is in Melbourne, and Melbourne is still in stage 4 lockdown, so we're recording from home. We're going to be working out a lot of the kinks of recording online over the coming weeks, so please bear with us, but this week we've got a lot of good content coming up. Meg, Em, and Jason are going to be joining me in a moment to talk Ghost of Tsushima, which is Sony's latest action RPG open world adventure situation, and we're going to be talking Fall Guys as well, which is battle royale online multiplayer, basically Takeshi's Castle or Wipeout. If you've seen those shows, you know what the game is, but we get into a lot of the specifics on some of the mini games that we love and hate, and how some people can just grief and be exhausting. That's all coming up later on in the show, but first, here are the gaming news headlines of the week. And we're starting off with the Xbox Series X, which is officially launching in November 2020. Microsoft, in an Xbox Wire article, said, "We have plenty to keep you busy until Chief arrives. There'll be thousands of games to play, spanning 4 generations when Xbox Series X launches globally this November. The company has long been promising 4 generations of games, building on its effort to deliver backward compatibility, going all the way back to the original Xbox. Older games will run with a variety of improvements on the Xbox Series X, according to Microsoft, such as high dynamic range and increased frame rates. Halo Infinite has been delayed to 2021. 343 Industries studio head Chris Lee made the announcement Tuesday, published on social media and the Halo Infinite blog. Lee said the decision to hold the game until 2021 was made due to multiple factors, including the ongoing COVID-related impacts. He noted that it's not sustainable for the team to rush it out for this holiday when Microsoft's Xbox Series X is slated for its launch. The company also has plans to release a second next-gen Xbox called Xbox Series S, according to Eurogamer. The Series S is expected to be a lower-cost console and equivalent of this generation's Xbox One S, codenamed Lockhart. That has not been confirmed, but we have seen leaks of a controller in white that suggests it's for the Xbox Series S, the weaker one. Meg, you are one of the few people that is very much into Xbox. You are one of the few people that I know that owns an Xbox One X. It was $750 at launch, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically it's up there. I think what we've seen in previous, generations of hardware is that it peaks with a really expensive cost and the games are around $100 each. And then after about 6 months to 9 months later, it does drop to a normal, the $70 price point for games. And maybe the $599, $499 with X amount of games. Doesn't depreciate too much, but it'll definitely launch at a really high price point. I think people have to be prepared for that.
You don't think so, Jason?
I disagree, Meg. I disagree 100%. Really? I think here's how the next generation is going to go. 650 maximum for Xbox Series X. 650 maximum Australian, right? Sony will come out at 750 because they don't know what they're doing anymore. All the good people have left. Where Sony needs to sell consoles. So I think they're playing chicken with Sony. They're like, announce your price. We'll just come out $100 cheaper. It's fine.
They've already done it with the date, obviously. If they've dropped the date and Sony's still like, they have. We know they've both held back. Now they've dropped the date. It's a matter of time before price.
They're
and
trying
Sony
to push. Exactly. Exactly.
I guess we will move on now to some Sega and Atlas news. We can look forward to more Sega and Atlas PC ports on the way. The success of Persona 4 Golden on Steam has prompted Sega to consider porting more of its catalogue to PC in the future. The critically acclaimed JRPG has sold over 500,000 copies on Steam since its release on June 14th. Quote, because of Persona 4 Golden's critical acclaim and its low selling price, sales were much stronger than expected. We will continue to actively promote porting previously released titles to Steam and new platforms, end quote, said Haruki Satomi, Sega's president and group COO. This internal shift is likely to result in more Sega ports arriving on PC, particularly from Persona developer Atlas. Catherine, the studio's adult-flavored puzzle game, launched on Steam in January 2019, and Sega's latest stance means we could potentially see Persona 3 and Persona 5 hit PC at some point in the future, along with any upcoming games from Sega. Honestly, I think Persona 3 is an easy win here. Like, hands down, release Persona 3. It just makes sense. Persona 5...
I think Catherine makes sense as well.
Catherine's already out. Yeah, for sure. Like,
right.
Catherine did well. I think Catherine Full Body as like DLC would make a lot of sense on Steam, given the base game is already
because it's only the original, it's only the OG version of Catherine. I wonder what their experience was there that they've not updated it. But I think P3 is the easy one.
It was like Catherine Classic. Like,
I mean, look, my disdain for Atlas is well established.
Documented.
I just
the weeb on the team hates Persona. Wow.
Yeah, that's heavy. What do you mean?
Shin Megami Tensei 3. They're doing a remake of Nocturne, but we're gonna make you pay for that free DLC that we. You motherfucker! Like, there's no justification outside of like Atlas are greedy pricks. That is the 100% justification for anything that they do. And it makes me sad because like I play so many, like they have so many great games, and I love Sega, and like, you know, the Yakuza series is still fantastic. There's so many great things that Sega as a general company do. I don't know. I agree with you that more PC ports are coming. I still think that there's a Microsoft announcement coming. Suddenly all the Yakuza games are on Game Pass. Like, you know, once a month they're releasing
Yeah, preemptive.
3, 4, and 5 and Catherine on Game Pass. Moving on, Marvel's Avengers will add Spider-Man as a PS4 and PS5 exclusive character. Developer Crystal Dynamics has confirmed that Spider-Man will join Marvel's Avengers roster as a free DLC character despite not appearing in any promotional material before. The character will be released as post-launch DLC, and the studio also confirmed that the web-slinger will be exclusive to PS4 and 5 only. Crystal Dynamics has since clarified that Spider-Man will be the only console-exclusive character, so don't expect a match on Xbox. PlayStation players will also get a series of cosmetic bonuses, getting early access to some character costumes when new members of Avengers join the game. Meg, you were pretty keen for it back at PAX.
We've had this conversation. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So thank you for handballing over to me. This game is on my must-have list for this year, and I totally fangirled out at PAX last year. We got to interview one of I was like a GM or a producer or like someone really high in the food chain. I actually have lost it right now. That's how much I fangirled out. It went through one ear and out the other. We got to interview one of the developers from the studio about the game, but it was so early on in its production that they'd been able to only show us one scene that had been rendered specifically for gameplay, which was just like a grey box cel-shaded space where all the AI came at you in like waves and lots of cinematics. But at that time, the reason why I fangirled out so hard is because they launched with Kamala Khan. She's like one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. And I think the Spider-Man, this new news does incentivize me a lot, but it doesn't incentivize me neither here nor there. I was already going to get it, and I'll be playing the beta this weekend as well. I didn't get it. I didn't play it last weekend when it was live for the first time. But to be honest, this isn't enough for me. This isn't like groundbreaking news, and I don't think it's going to sway sales that much. I think people that were already interested in the Marvel Avengers roster probably already going to pick it up.
I was not going to buy Avengers for the DLC. So it kind of hasn't like affected my want to buy it, if that makes sense.
Were you buying it originally anyway?
Yeah, because I really liked Spider-Man because like me and my brother played through it together. So it was going to be like
so you're not losing out on that.
I'm a PlayStation brat, babe. Like,
you're hanging out with us here on New Game Plus TV. We'll be back in a little bit talking more video games. You're back with us here on New Game Plus TV. My name is Jack, and I'm here with Meg, Em, and Jason, and we're going to be talking Ghost of Tsushima, which is Sony's latest open-world action RPG. They've made a number of these. I mean, I don't know if God of War was necessarily an open world. I mean, it wasn't open world. It was definitely an action RPG sort of game. But this, Spider-Man also was basically that, an action game. I don't know if it's so much RPG. The point is, it's a brand new game. It's an open world game, and Em's been playing a bunch of it. I played a little bit of it, and my takeaway was, I'm terrible at stealth, and so even though they baby you into stealth pretty early, I will suffer through that stuff through the rest of the game. And that honor is exhausting, and Jin can shut up. But Em, what I'll get you to do to begin with is brief us on what is Ghost of Tsushima. What is the background? What is the storyline, the plot of the game?
so basically what happens at the start is you're in the middle of a battle with like your samurai crew and your uncle, and then the Khotan Khan's like Mongols are coming after you, and then that kind of is like what starts off the whole like game. And it's like you kind of I feel like when I'm in the middle of games, I forget what happens at the beginning, and then I'm just like, oh, I'm in here. Like,
here I am.
But yeah, here I am. But it's kind of about like following the samurai code and like the people that you meet along the way, and like watching the tales unfold, and kind of like you're trying to recruit all these people to come and fight with you and your uncle, because your uncle's been like taken by Cloten Khan, and that was like the most terrible explanation of what Ghost of Tsushima is.
Well, I mean, your uncle, he's taken at the beginning of the game. Sort of how long does it take for you to essentially rescue him? Because you're playing as Jin, who is a samurai and has been trained as a samurai, and this like forager thief chick, I forget her name, but I'm in love with her because she is
Yuna.
She is the only one with personality here. Jin is a cardboard cutout. But Yuna's like, yeah, we're going to steal shit and we're going to go for, like, we're going to go and be really, really sneaky. And he's like, yeah, but I have to face someone when I fight them. I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, it's, I have no
but
time for
that's kind of where, like, all the moral sort of ambiguities and stuff come in, because you're like, oh, I understand, like, why she thinks that way. But then he's also grown up, like, thinking these things. So I kind of feel like I wish they had have leaned into that more, because I really liked in the beginning when, like, I think I did my first, like, stealth kill on one of the Mongols, and it cut to this flashback of my uncle being like, no, you can't do that. Like, this is what, you know, the samurai code is, and this is what you've grown up knowing. And then, like, later on in the game, it was like bonus objective, kill 3 Mongols without being seen. And I was kind of like, I had kind of like changed my play style after that flashback. Like, because I thought it would kind of alter the course of the story.
You get,
but
like,
then
brownie
once
points for facing them with honor.
Yeah. And then kind of once I realized that it really had no effect, I kind of went back to stealth killing and stuff.
This to me is one of the things that I worried about with it, is because if there was ever a game that would make sense to have that Mass Effect-y Paragon kind of thing, you could have, you know, Bushido versus, like, you know, Kunoichi kind of, like, you know, ninja kind of thing. Like, you could make that dichotomy and say, like, you know, you're moving away from the samurai code, and I think all those games inflict their moral code on you. So but the problem is nowadays you can't possibly have that level of, I don't know, you can't have that level of expression when you're making these kind of games, because people want to play it their way. So God forbid you upset anyone by making them play the way you intend people to play it. And I feel that it seems to be like a little bit of a victim of that. We're not quite willing to commit to the bit. And that's what it sounds like, at least from what you're saying, that seems to be what it suffers from a bit.
I think it's also like, I can kind of understand why Sucker Punch might have wanted to stray away from that, because of going from the Infamous franchise, which was so heavily like, are you good or are you bad? So I do like the fact that there is kind of that grey area, but at the same time, I'm like, I wish they had kind of committed to a bit, like a bit further. I think that's what it sounds like, at least from what you've said and what I've heard other people say, is that it just feels like, if you're going to make these points, you've got to commit to, especially, like, you know, like I said in the intro, if you're going to commit to the idea of, like, daring to compare yourself to Kurosawa, like, you've got to be willing to play in the grey, and you've got to play heavy in the grey. And it just seems like they give it that little bit of lip service, but it just doesn't quite, they don't quite push into it as hard as they probably needed to sell the point they're trying to make.
Can I ask, there's a lot of other big AAA game reviewers that give this game a 9 out of 10, a 40 out of 40, 9.5 out of 10. Why do you think that it's going so well in terms of ratings and reviews, when there's a couple of, like, different elements of why you're not really that big of a fan of it?
I think it's because it's so different from a lot of things that have come out, like, lately, and I think that might kind of be a big reason that it's gotten a lot of big ratings.
Okay.
But there are kind of a lot of elements to it as well that I wouldn't personally give it like a 9 out of 10.
Sure.
Because there are, like, moments where it feels a bit samey. I think I, like, heard that on one of the Eurogamer reviews. Where it kind of
repetitive?
Repetitive. Like, but I think because the combat is, like, really diverse, that it kind of it does kind of help out with that repetitiveness and makes it feel like still fun. It's kind of the format of the missions, because it is very like, go talk to this NPC, follow them, investigate this area, kill some Mongols, and then, you know, go to the next point. And so that kind of does start to feel a little bit tiring, like the 10th time you've done it. I think as well, with the way the world was laid out in the beginning, I was a little intimidated, because there was, like, so much to do. Because it was like, there was the main story, and then there was, I think, 5 different tales that were surrounding it, and I kind of didn't know how to navigate it at first, like where to start. But then I think because I'm in the 2nd act now, so like once I kind of figured out how to go about it, it was easier to navigate through it. So that's kind of like how I did it. The combat it got interesting when the stances were like introduced, because you have like 4 main stances and then you kind of can you can upgrade each stance. And so there's that, and then there's also like your weapons, like the bows and then the bombs and the throwables and stuff. And so every like combat encounter, even though it is that repetitive thing like we mentioned before, there is still like a diverse way to approach it, because there are like so many different weapons at your disposal and so many different like ways to go about it. The only thing that I haven't gotten good at is the parrying. Like I cannot parry to save my life, and I know that is like such a huge part of the game, but I cannot figure it out because it's like timing.
To wrap up, do you think that Ghost of Tsushima does a good job of sort of balancing the good and the lukewarm to make it a positive experience?
I would say so far, yeah, because I think the combat also feels satisfying, which I think is something that always kind of tends to draw me back when there are those lukewarm elements. Yeah, so I've quite enjoyed it. I mean, I can see why it's gotten the reviews that it has.
But it's not necessarily for everyone.
I mean, everyone's different. So it's like, I mean, everyone's different, you guys.
Okay, not everyone's the same. Ghost of Tsushima is available now on PS4. You're hanging out with us on New Game Plus. Stick around for more video game goodness. Welcome back to New Game Plus TV. We are recording from home because Melbourne's in stage 4 lockdown. We don't have a studio, and we're going to make goddamn TV whether you like it or not. My name's Jack. I'm here with Meg, Em, and Jason. Whether you're watching on C31 or C44, or maybe on Twitch. We're going to be talking a little bit about Fall Guys. Now, Fall Guys, Jason, is basically Takeshi's Castle, but cute.
Yes. Takeshi's Castle, what's that? What was that other one? That was an Australian one. Wipeout. It's a knockout if you're old. If you're the old people in the crowd.
Wipeout,
Mario, I feel like Mario Party or something like that as well.
Wipeout, I hear, and I'm like, Wipeout Anti-Grav Racer? Let's go. Like, I love that.
Yeah, no. It's a very different thing. But it is basically, yeah. So the core premise is 60 people start at the start of it, and the first one will funnel that down to, 19 people will be eliminated. And usually the first one's, say, an obstacle course. You've got to get to the end, and once you pass the line, you qualify. Very much like Takeshi's Castle. Next one might be like another obstacle course, or it might be some kind of like team-based game where you've got to the one showing at the moment is Don't Fall Off, like the where you basically get pushed off, and then once it eliminates a certain number of people, you stay on, or the one where the platforms drop away. Then they'll break into like a team-based game where it's like blue team versus red team versus yellow team, whatever.
I hate the team-based games.
People the team game.
No,
because it makes me feel connected.
No, I don't want connection. Get away from me. No, I will say the push the ball game into the goal is probably the best one, because it is pretty forgiving as long as you have one person that knows what the fuck they're doing. You have everyone else push the ball, and you have one person go to grief. That's the strategy. As
a bullshit tryhard, the team games are awful because like the soccer one is fine because growing up and in my younger years I played a lot of team sports, so I understand the basics of attacking and defending. So the soccer one, the soccer one is fine. It was why I picked up Rocket League so well, because I'm like, cool, it's just 3 persons like futsal. Like it is what it is. It's just I'm driving a car instead.
Plus that plays sport, I swear to God, or has played sport.
Cardi played tennis for years. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Moral story is like, and so that's how it whittles down, and then the very end, the last race will either be an obstacle course or some kind of like competitive game. One winner, the winner wins a crown. The crown is a currency. So the way they do even currency is smart. You can pick up crowns through the season pass, through grinding and stuff like that, and it's only for cosmetics anyway. But I think I'm up to level 10 in my season pass, and I've got 1 crown. Sorry, I've got 2 crowns. One once, and I've got 1 that I got from the season.
What does it feel like to have 1? Because I wouldn't.
Emily,
know.
that is a great question.
My biggest problem is the only part that gets me every time is goddamn the last map is the last. Have you been to the last one? Like, not to be that guy, but have you been to the last obstacle course running up the hill? Yeah, run up the hill.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, so there's one bit at the end where there's like hammers, like the spinny hammers, and like I'm sure there's a pattern to it. My brain can't work it out, so I always get caught there. I'll be ahead of everyone, and I'll get caught at the spinny hammers.
And it'll just
I
knock
just
you
can't
way
figure it out. You knock me way back,
Is
and so then I lose.
the one with like the slime, and then there's like
That's slimed out.
Snaky obstacle course where you're yes going up in altitude, but like this one is literally just ramp up, and you've got obstacles on the way there. That's
right.
Yeah, and the slime one's actually probably one of the better ones. There's like three good shortcuts in that, and if you make sure you're up there, and then all you do is just pick on
If you fall down and you fall
if you fall, you got a chance to just straight up. Yeah. As soon as you touch the slime in any capacity, you're gone.
Yeah.
So like, so from that point of view, it is about winning. It's about that, and it's charming. The aesthetic's great. The music is legally distinct from Splatoon.
I'm going to stop you right there at the aesthetic point. Talk to me about these costumes that the characters are wearing, and how do I get a KFC one?
So
I know that's not really real. I'm so trolling, but I love all their variations that you can pick. Do you have to pay money?
So you can pay. There's a DLC pack which is the fast food pack, and that's basically like hot dog and fries and stuff. And it's like $15 plus you get like 10,000 kudos, which would be enough for like multiple colors and a couple of maybe like another costume on top of.
It has the crowns which you can get by winning or by leveling up, and then it has the kudos, which I was just like it's purple coins. But yeah, that one's a lot. They have far less value, whereas one crown is like, oh damn, okay, that's some money. And you can buy those, but again, it's all cosmetic. It's like Rocket League. There's no competitive advantage to literally anything that you buy in the store.
I really like the fact that everything's like agnostic and neutral. It's just like whatever you choose to represent yourself.
Plus the other thing, and this is something that, especially in the early days, that Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare was good for, is that there's no ongoing, like you can't just keep buying currency. This has a similar thing where you don't feel ripped off. Like, even if you're a scrub and you keep dropping out the first or second map, if you play it 100 times, you'd probably have enough for an outfit. Do you know what I mean? And like that sounds like a lot, but you might get lucky and pass a couple of matches. And if you win a couple of matches, like if you're on a winning team for some, you get extra like kudos and stuff. Yeah. And so it really works to build, and it's all cosmetic. So yesterday when I was streaming with Cart, they had a black color on there, like it was like you could color yourself black, and I was tempted to throw my crowns on it because I'm like, oh, I just want that color. And like it rotates every day, and I'm sure eventually they'll start to do like specials and stuff. So every day it'll be different. Animal costumes or different costumes, different colors, different patterns,
so different back for more
emotes and stuff. Yeah, and so you'll just wait for it to rotate back up if you want. But I don't know. Like I think, like Em said when we were doing the introduction, was its simplicity is its strength. The Team Tail one, for example, one of the best strategies I've found is to hide near where one of the spinny hammers are. And I remember I was red team and I was going yellow team. We both had tails.
I've seen a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, and so we just both stood there, and it was that kind of understanding of like, I'm going to touch you, I'm going to touch me. Like we're cool, man, but like I ain't moving from here. And and so you do like the emotes. I was doing like the waves, and like and so we were just standing there, and then blue team came up and tried to get us, and so I'm like, cool. And I was just running around him just to far enough away, and then the hammer got him, and he got sent flying. I'm like, sweet. And then like five of them came at me. I'm like, all right, now it's time for me to go. So I just jumped in front of the hammer and got flung halfway across the map.
I love jumping in front of the hammer and just launching. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And
so the hammer doesn't kill you every time it launches you, but if you land somewhere bad, then you die. Like you're out.
Because someone will grab your tail.
I got stuck on like the fan, and then it like whacked me against the wall, and then back to the fan, and I just got stuck in a fan loop.
That does happen. That's the spin one. Yeah.
Can I ask, that fan map is brutal. Is this game better with mates, or can I can join and play with strangers? But is like the connection to the game playing with a whole bunch of mates?
The chat makes it way better. Like being on voice chat with people makes it way, way, way better. Like you can solo queue, but it's the same as like I used, I guess, the comparison point to Overwatch earlier. This is very much the same, where if you jump into a solo queue of Overwatch, you can have a good time, but it's not super common. You feel particularly frustrated when you jump into the first round, and because the first round is really like, it seems super easy, and it is, and there is a little bit of strategy to hanging back and jumping through the crowd, but if you lose 3 matches in a row, you're like, I'm so goddamn sick of this. But when you're with people, it makes it way better to deal with it, because you're also commentating, you're trying to watch them stuff up. You want to support them, but you want to watch them stuff up.
I think it'll disrupt the BR market more than people expect.
The Battle Royale, Yeah,
I love it. It's a really great addition to the VR, for sure.
Good stuff. Fall Guys is available now on PC and PS4. It's also on PlayStation Plus at the moment. If you literally just want to sign up, don't buy it on PlayStation at the moment, because you literally just get on PlayStation Plus. You need PlayStation Plus. I'm not highlighting anyone, but I'm just like...
You know, this is a story for another episode, because I don't want to get shaded right now.
That is a wrap on that is a wrap on New Game Plus TV this week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you've been joining us on Twitch, we record every single Thursday night. Don't ask the time, we don't know. C31 and C44 weekly. We're still figuring out the specifics of that, but you can check us out on C31 in Melbourne or C44 in Adelaide, and as a podcast. Jason, Em, and Meg, thank you so much for joining us. And
thanks for having me.
Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll catch you next time.